In the name of God, and prayers and peace be upon the messenger of God. So far, we have gone through 4 dreams since the beginning of the surah, the first of which is the dream of Joseph, peace be upon him, then the dream of the king's cupbearer, then the baker's dream, and here we are discussing the king's dream. As is known, the king was an infidel, but the vision was true and was fulfilled in all its details. People at that time, in addition to politicians and princes, were very interested in dreams and shared news about them. It seems that the vision of the king turned into a concern, and the king knew that it concerned his country and people and had economic meanings related to agricultural or livestock wealth. However, he did not know the interpretation of his vision, so he called his entourage to consult with them about it. In the following verse, they said, "Jumbles of dreams, and we know nothing of the interpretation of dreams." The elite's answer contains a kind of contradiction that gives us an indication of the freedom margin the king gave to his entourage. If he had ruled them tyrannically, they would have commented regularly about the king's dreams, but in their first comment, they said they are mixed dreams that had no meaning. Then in the second comment, they said that they did not know the interpretation of dreams. The king was wise. He did not oppress his people, but rather allowed freedom of opinion and exploited the competences and talents of his people in a way that would bring benefit and goodness to the country. Joseph's economic program for managing the crisis succeeded due to the support of the king and political authority. This king searches for qualified people and those with capabilities and employs them even if they are from outside his people, such as his employing Joseph, despite being non-Egyptian. In the following verse, the one who was released said, having remembered after a time, "I will inform you of its interpretation, so send me out." Some of the dreams that people see are due to the thoughts and obsessions that pass through them. Some are interfered with by Satan, and some are mixed and meaningless. There was confusion in the king's court, and the seniors were unable to interpret the king's vision. In the midst of the audience's confusion, God stirred the memory of the king's cupbearer, so he remembered the period of imprisonment that he spent years ago with Joseph, peace be upon him. The Quran sums up the details that took place between the king and the cupbearer. He must have told the king that he had a companion in prison who was proficient in interpreting visions truly. He had previously interpreted dreams for him and the baker and was truthful. The baker was killed and the cupbearer survived. The experience that the cupbearer had from prison was what put him ahead of all the seniors, so he asked the king to send him to bring him an interpretation of his vision. In the following verse, "Joseph, O man of truth, inform us about 7 fat cows being eaten by 7 lean ones, and 7 green spikes and others dried up, so that I may return to the people, so that they may know." The king was eager to hear the interpretation of the vision, so he immediately sent the cupbearer. The Quranic context turns us immediately inside the prison, where the cupbearer approaches his old friend and says to him in a tone of appreciation, respect, and praise, "Joseph, O truthful." And here a new characteristic is added to Joseph's previous qualities, which is the characteristic of a truthful. He became famous among the people by his name and attributes. Consider the morals of Joseph, peace be upon him, in dealing with his old friend. He did not turn away from him and did not blame him, because he did not mention his condition to the king and left him in prison all these years without remembering him. Joseph did not require his friend to release him from prison in order to interpret the vision for him. In the next episode, we will see Joseph's response to him, God willing.